All right, now we are coming in to my favorite city in all the world, in one of my favorite entrances. This is Jaffa Gate. And look at the way that the sun just hits all the stone. I think it's beautiful. So, future reference, this here, can't see it too well necessarily right now, but where this street is going down enters into a valley, and the valley's over there. That's Gehenna. This tower used to be a lot taller, but this corner is the historical corner of King Herod's palace. Just like the Temple Mount is a massive structure, and it's like a big rectangle where they made basically huge walls and kind of like retaining walls and a big platform on top of it for the temple to stand on top of. Well, King Herod built something very similar for himself above at the top of the city, and this is the top of the city. And he had guard towers. That is the remains in part of one of them, but it used to be a lot bigger, and it was essentially like a rectangle as well. He had two palaces inside of it. That said, you can't really see it, of course, through here, but if you could go down there and then through the walls and then down a little bit, there is a historic jail cell that King Herod had in his palace structure where they would keep prisoners. So it's very likely that that is where Jesus actually was held and tried, held in the process before his crucifixion, because after King Herod died, Pontius Pilate, when he would be in Jerusalem, he would stay in Herod's palace structure as sort of like the ultimate authority of the land. Anyways, and over there as well then, they found a site for public pronouncements and judgments. So that's also likely the spot where Jesus was tried before his crucifixion, where Pontius Pilate was like, do you want Barabbas or do you want Jesus? And there's a number of reasons. They believe that all the things said before about it being his palace, the jail cells being right there, the right time frame, and then they found a specific platform that they call a bema, where judgments were pronounced and like official acts were done. So that's there. And now here is the entrance. When I lived here, I loved coming here to the city. I was always here. I so miss it. I mean, so glad to be back. So, anyways, so this is kind of like the main entrance actually most people enter through. Look at these doors. Pretty epic. Okay, so here is something called a mezuzah. They actually had these during the time of Jesus, and we know that because of archaeological records. And inside of those are handwritten scrolls of God's commands. The Shema, to hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, Lord is one. And in the Shema, God tells, oh, I love this too, in Israel, it's such an international city. You have all the tourists coming here from all around the world, Christians from everywhere, Jews from everywhere, Muslims from everywhere. It's just so cool. All the variety. You hear like every language spoken. It's just, it's really fun. So, in that prayer, the Shema, God commands the Israelites, when he gives it to them, he says, all these commands which I'm giving you today shall be on your hearts, and you shall teach them diligently to your children. And he says, basically, in all times of life, when you sit down, when you rise up, when you're walking, when you're sleeping, like, always have them on your hearts and your minds. And then he says, and write them on the doorposts of your house and on your city gates. So that is them literally writing it on the doorposts of their homes and their city gates. Which way to go? So up here is Christ Church, which I always love going to. It's like my favorite just sit down and hang out spot in the city. Here is a museum called Citadel of David. Has nothing to do with King David, but it's named that. And again, this actually was King Herod's palace structure, like the beginnings of it. It actually would have come all the way over here and a little bit further, and then down quite far that way. So actually, while it's hard to imagine right now, this would have been the area of the city that the wise men would have come to when they were seeking, where is the King of the Jews? We saw his star, we know that he's born somewhere. And so when the wise men came asking Herod, it would have been here, in this complex area. The jail cells I talked about earlier would be over there and down. Christ Church I love. So here we go. Let's do a walk through the market. Let me do a new video for that.